Greetings, everyone. Welcome once again to the Vassa series 2025. We're delighted to have Ajahn Vajiro here with us from Portugal, Sumedharama. And if it's convenient for you to turn on your screen so that Ajahn can see you, interact with you, I think it'll be helpful. If not, if all of us are gathered here, we could put our palms together and then let us all offer our three respectful greetings to Ajahn. Three bows, please. First bow, second bow, and third bow. Welcome, Ajahn.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you, Peter. Having just arrived back in Singapore to jump straight into this an hour later is pretty brave. So this is a good beginning, a settling and a welcoming, and a sense of respect. In this knowing. I trust the sound is good enough. The picture is clear enough. The time and space where you're at is comfortable enough, awake enough, with a sense of welcoming, a sense of gathering. This is this time, this place. This here, this now, this experience. And a gift, the giving of attention, a receiving of experience, an allowing of the uncertainties and the ways that these things work out. So we'll give a few minutes to just gather and collect and welcome and settle. So coming into the body and just breathing. We're giving ourselves and each other about 90 minutes of present experience. And I'll offer some considerations and some ideas. And the intention is to encourage less stress for yourself and others in this present moment and in the future. And how you receive these ideas, these tools, which ideas are They're tools for directing and moving energy. They're expressions of energy. And maybe these tools, these ideas, these things will help. And so I'd like to talk about different, or the ways that each moment can be approached. And the first moment for most of us of a day is waking up. Now, there's this funny experience called being asleep, which is, if we didn't experience it, we'd be in a lot of trouble, but it's not quite sure what it's about. And yet, at some point, there's a waking up. And what's the first thought that happens? What's the first direction that happens? Years ago, I read that the Dalai Lama woke up with a thought of loving kindness. And I was not surprised, but interested, and decided to try to figure out if I could decide what thought I woke up with. And it's not that difficult. You can decide the thought that you wake up with. I think there probably is a default for many human beings, which is like, oh, is that the time? Do I have to get up? Or is that the alarm? But I think that to know that that's not necessary, that humans can decide what thought they think they wake up with. It takes because humans are decision makers, and they can move. It's the karma creating of action that humans are the best at. And we can decide what thought we wake up with. You have to decide what you want it to be. The way that I worked it out was I decided the thoughts that I wanted to wake up with. Then when I noticed that I was thinking the first time that I woke up, that's the thought that I should wake up with. And then repeat, and then it becomes automatic. It's just habit. Now, a thought of kindness, a thought of wishing to wake up, to understand, something that inspires you to wake up, is something that you can train with. Then, the habit in monasteries in Thailand, and I think in other places as well, is to bow, and bow to the Buddha, bow to the shrine. Just as you began this Zoom meeting with a gesture of respect to the Lord Buddha. How you do it, and whether nature calls or whatever it is when you get out of bed, how you work that out, to have some part of that waking to give a sense of reverence and a sense of respect to that which you hold as important, as an expression of an aspiration and a confidence that there is something that can be learnt from beings that are free from greed, free from hatred, and free from confusion. And a willingness to respect that possibility, to listen to that possibility, to awake to that possibility as a start to the day. There was one person who was a monk for many years, and then they left for reasons, and they decided that every day they would recite the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts first thing. So it's a way of honoring their time as a monastic and as a way of remembering that. And you know, when you come and stay in monasteries, the morning ritual is, you know, a puja, a sitting and a puja, or a puja and a sitting. And I can remember complaining after my first retreat, when I was told that after the retreat, the instruction was, you have to sit an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. And, I can remember that when I went on my next retreat, my first retreat was the first time I'd ever sat meditation at all. And so a year later, I went to my next retreat, and I had 10 minutes with the teacher at the end of the retreat. And I said, that's a ridiculous instruction. You can't sit for an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening with the workload that I have and the busyness that I have. But, and the teacher was incredibly laid back and easy, so he didn't make a problem of it. But if you do find a way to give yourself and give others the practice of awakening at the beginning of a day, it will, and then notice what happens when you do that. Notice what happens through the day. If you've woken up with a thought that you've decided on, if you've paid respects, made some gesture, recited something maybe that you feel this will mean something, and then now you'll still have the same complaint that I had. Well, I don't have time for that. Well, I know some people who use their commuting time as a time for practicing meditation and even for chanting. Okay, if they're in a car on their own, that's probably easier than in a crowded subway. But it's still something that one can. What do you do with your time as you move? Now, in the days that I commuted, there weren't even Walkmans. That was a long time ago. So I was just encouraged to be with the sense of being and walking, sitting, and using the satipatthana, using the foundations of mindfulness. The body posture, the movement of the body itself, the breath. Noticing the shifts. You know, we live completely in our own time and space. Looking at a screen like this with many people, maybe you've only got me in the front of your screen and a few little ones at the top, but if you turn it to gallery view, you notice that we all live in our own time and space. And actually, even if we're in the same room, our perspectives on the time and space are completely personal. So notice as we move through time and space, and notice the worlds we occupy. Notice as we move through a door. We move through a door, we enter another world, enter another perspective. This whole thing of birth and death and rebirth and birth in different realms. The moment by moment birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. And the energy that we take from one to the other, and the energy we push through as we carry our ideas of where we've just been. And then pick up the ideas of where we're going, and the feelings about the ideas about where we think we might be going and who might be there. As we travel through the worlds of our lives and deaths, lives and deaths, through a day. I don't, the Islam thing of praying 5 times a day, I'm not sure that it's, I don't know where they picked it up from. I don't know where they got it from, or I don't know the Quran, but maybe 5 times a day is not enough. Maybe every breath is better. To have this opportunity every breath, and then you can get like I got, which is, oh, you can't do that, it's not possible. but notice that, and notice, and use the spaces in one's life, in this life. I mean, some people, they run off to the loo and just close the door so that they can just have a few breaths. I think that's why some people just go out and have a cigarette, because it gives them a break. But use the breaks, but use also the times. And before, the instruction that I got when I complained about not having enough time to sit an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening was, when you sit down at a desk, to just feel the pen and the paper and the sitting there. This was before computers. Nowadays, it's just be with the sense of, if that's your work, if your work does entail sitting at a desk, but maybe your work entails moving, and being with that. Use the body posture and the movement of the body posture to deepen the refuge in the triple gem. Use whatever you can through the day. When you come to this really, the basic nutriment, and there are 4 nutriments, of course, but the basic nutriment is this food. And what do you do when you start eating? One of the things that I encourage and is reflection on the sense of the, for us, the food is laid out and then there's a sense of, this is for me. This is for me. This is, the direction is that this is something for me. And then when I put it in the bowl, or somebody puts it in the bowl, the food in the bowl is mine. I mean, for you, when you take the food out of the, wherever it is, you put it on your plate, and then this is my food. Now, you might decide to share my food, but if somebody takes it off your plate without you asking for it, what do you feel? This is, so this sense of, for me, this is mine. When does it become you? You've got a lot that you can do with food. Yeah? You can do the whole business of looking at the food. And there's the way that the mind moves around food. I like this bit, I don't like that bit. I wonder what that tastes like. Oh, pick it up, put it in my mouth. That's the taste, oh, that's the texture. Because you've then got the sense, the nutriment of the sense contact. Consciousness and karma are the other ones. So that, knowing how that feeds the sense of self, that nutriment, it's taken personally, it's for me, it's mine, it's myself that's experiencing this. And then what happened to yesterday's food or the day before's? And what happened to the drink that happened? Yeah. When did it stop being you? How soon does it stop being you? In just a moment, doesn't it? And then, oh God, that's not me anymore. Flush. So really using this very ordinary experience for reflection. For the monks, we have this thing around, the four requisites, the four things which are the lowest standard of living, that are basis for physical life. Clothing, food, shelter, and medicine. And we have this reflection, or this formula of way of reflecting of why do I, and this is helpful, because wise reflection in dealing with things, and something as basic as food is quite good. So wisely reflecting, I use the food that's been offered, the alms food, because we exist on food that's offered. Not for fun, not for pleasure, not for fattening, not for beautification. Typical Buddhist fashion, a lot of negatives. Because it gives a structure or a boundary. And then the positive is only for the maintenance and nourishment of this body, for keeping it healthy, for helping with this holy life. Thinking thus, I will allay hunger, I will ease hunger without overeating, so that I may continue to live blamelessly and at ease. A reflection on consumption. That sense of consuming. So with you, with your food, how do you relate to your food? I mean, maybe you pack a lunch. Maybe you make breakfast. How does it taste? How does it work? I'll have this today, I won't have that today. Use that as an opportunity to meditate. If you don't have an opportunity to sit for an hour, Use your eating. Now, maybe you're with a load of other people. Maybe you're with your family. Maybe you're with that. Use that as an opportunity to learn how you communicate, learn how you prepare, learn how you relate. Is this making more suffering for myself and others or less in this relationship? Is this a wise relationship or is it one that's foolish? Yeah. These are just suggestions of what you can do with this life, whatever you've got. There's nothing, there's not a right or wrong about it. It's just knowing it's like this. And then the right or wrong is this leading to less suffering or more suffering for oneself and others? Is this in harmony with the Dhamma? Or is it out of tune? And then, no, through the day, whatever it is, there's this life which is a receiving of experience and a responding to that experience, or a reacting to that experience, and knowing how that works. And then thinking, well, I shouldn't react, or I should. And in some cases, it's just the way that habits and sankharas work. It's not noticing the whole sense, awakening. No, the practice of satipatthana holds a promise. This leads only one way, it leads to liberation. And practiced for 7 days, it will have a really good result. Practice for 7 weeks, will have really. Practice for 7 years, it'll have a good result. And one's concerned about deepening one's practice. Many people are concerned about deepening one's practice, saying, I would like to deepen my practice that I need to deepen. But you've got every moment. And, find ways of using every moment, or receiving every moment, or responding or giving to every moment in a way that supports freedom from ignorance, freedom from feeling overwhelmed, and freedom from feeling needy. And inadequate. Practice being adequate, practice being capable in this moment when one wakes up, when one moves, and then work with it. Now, I've given just some examples, but then things end. There's an ending to things, ending to situations. Now, for the monastics, when we leave something, there's a sense of asking for forgiveness. And I've even known some communities where every parting, there's an asking for and a receiving of forgiveness. You're doing something together, and at the end of that, there's the asking for forgiveness and the receiving forgiveness. As you know, with the way that we ask for forgiveness, there's the thing is that whatever I have done by body, speech, or mind, intentionally or unintentionally, in public or in private, behind you or in front of you, in front of you or behind your back, may may it not be carried forward. May it be a hosi karma. May it be karma that doesn't lead to any further burdens. And the only response to that is, please, I forgive you. Please also forgive me also. Any other response is not worth it. And so it's a forgiveness between beings. Yeah? It doesn't mean reconciliation. Reconciliation is a whole different matter. And that requires a whole building up of trust again and all that. But the basic act of forgiveness is an opportunity to let go. Yeah? So, probably we don't do it every time we meet and pass, but it's as an attitude when one leaves something, leaves a room or leaves an area or finishes something in a relationship, a sense of, okay, let what's ever here, you know, let's not carry it forward. Let's forgive it, so that one doesn't have to carry the past or pick up too much of the future. And at the end of the day, you probably figure out things like brushing your teeth, or maybe you've brushed your teeth a few times during the day. So, and then having a wash, and so taking care of the body. Again, the opportunity to pay respects, if you have a shrine, or to remember just Namo Tassa Bhagavato, which is an expression of wisdom, because it's an acknowledgement that there's some thing that can be learned from beings who are free from ignorance. And then it's not uncommon in some societies and in some groups to every night just remember all those that have ever benefited you in your life. Just run through a list of the beings that you feel have benefited you. And also then share your whatever blessings I've done. May they also partake of it. And of course, with sharing blessings, it's got a very good return on your investment. Because if you share blessings, you get better blessings. You don't lose your blessings by sharing them. You increase them. And consciously making that whatever I've done that has reduced suffering for myself and others, may this be shared with the beings that I feel grateful towards, and all beings. May they share in the blessings of this life. And having that something that is a daily reflection, just notice what that does to you. If you're complaining about not having enough time to practice, what I'm trying to offer you is ways of little bits of practice. It doesn't take, a huge setup to do these things. It doesn't take a huge amount of time. It just takes 24 hours a day. So it's doable in these it's interesting and doable in these chunks. Yeah, if you figure it in that way, then you can feel at the end of, well, I didn't do it, but I did okay for today. Yeah. So I'm suggesting things that I hope will be practical for you, that will actually support the sense of there's unwholesome qualities are not being picked up, unwholesome qualities are not being fed, wholesome qualities are being cultivated, and more wholesome qualities are growing in my life. And this life is a blessing. That there is this life is a blessing, that there is the contact and the possibility of awakening is a blessing. This is something that can be done. And reflecting on one's life and how one relates to this moment, how one relates to what one feeds on, this, the food, the sense contact, the kamma, the intentional actions that feed this sense of self. Now, if you want to, my reflection on food is that it really only becomes self with the energy that is used from that food to act. Because all that we really own is our kamma. The rest we don't really own. The body and the rest of it we don't really own. But because we have this idea this food is for me, it's mine, but it isn't, of course. It's just it stops being you when it gets excreted. But the energy that comes from that food, that's what one does with it, with the karma that one creates with that food. And is it a hosi karma? Is it karma that leads to the end of karma? Is it the practice of the Eightfold Path? Is it truly a blessing? Well, these are reflections for us all. What do we do with the sense contact that we have? Are we thrown around? Is the eye burning? External objects, are they burning? Is eye consciousness burning? Burning with the fire of greed, burning with the fire of hatred, burning with the fire of delusion? Is our sense consciousness burning? It's because when it's seen, it's cool. It's not. The fire goes out. It's just the way that it is, and then it's an opportunity. This opportunity. Every breath is an opportunity for liberation. So find ways to support that. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the monks are supposed to reflect again. How did I use the alms food? How did I use the robes? How did I use the lodgings? How did I use the medicine? What happened? At the end of the day, to reflect, what is it that I really regret about today? What is it that could be done better? Just give a moment to review. Not with a sense of blaming, because the forgiveness. So you're not making it a burden. The sense of forgiveness for this being. But not complacency and not ignoring fault, but not making a big problem about it, but just this is what we can do. Acknowledging fault, acknowledging mistakes, because as you've heard me say many times, very, very foolish people think they never ever make mistakes. Yeah? And foolish people don't learn from mistakes. If you're a bit clever and if you keep repeating your mistakes, then that's still foolish. You're not learning from them. If you learn from your mistakes, that's called being a little bit wise. And learning from other people's mistakes, that's called educating yourself. It saves trouble. But those are what one can work with. So I've spoken on for a bit now. Given some, I hope these are practical tips with some basis in Buddhism that wisdom that will lead to less suffering for yourself and a sense of can do for yourself. I can do this. I can decide what thought I have in the morning first thing. I can decide first thing in the morning to orientate myself. I can decide when I'm relating to things, how am I relating to this? How I can decide how personally I take things. I can decide how I move through the different universes that each day brings. The different births and deaths, births and deaths, births and deaths. And at the end, at night, and then when we can practice this very strange business of shutdown, what happens? Yeah, because it's the closest we get to death every day. You know, some people die some people call a saintly death, and other people call it a golden ticket. They die in their sleep. You know, having been perfectly well, they just die in their sleep. Oh, maybe I just want to die fully conscious, sitting in full lotus. But let's just work it out. But you don't know that the fact of death is certain. That's it. The timing is absolutely uncertain. And so practice endings, practice beginnings, and then wake up with a sense of, whatever it is, whatever thought or whatever direction you want to make your first thought. Yeah, however you want to put it. So I offer that for your reflection, and I'm open for comments and questions and see how that goes. Thank you for listening. And if anything's been so confusing or inadequate or terribly explained, please just leave it at the ear door and just let it go. It's not, you don't have to take any of this too seriously. Oh, thank you.
Andamayam Dhamma Kata Sadhu Karam Dadamase Sadhu 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 Anumodami.
Thank you so much, Lampa. Thank you. So right now we're opening up the floor for questions and answers. Should anyone have a comment or any feedback or a question for Lampa, please feel free to click on the raise hand button. You can find it under the reaction button. There's a raise hand, and if you click on it, and we will invite you to unmute, or you could type it in the chat box and we can read it out. Anyone's got a question? So there's a comment here, Lampa. It says from Lai San, thank you, Lampa, for saying every breath is an opportunity for liberation. It's profound. Would Lampa like to elaborate on this particular sentence?
I'm not sure how much one can really elaborate on a breath. It's it's a breath. It's something that's on the edge. It's its particular experience is that it's a bodily function that is extremely important. Now, if you're not breathing, you're in trouble. It's just a shift away from being in consciousness, being something that one is aware of. Just remind, and it jumps into consciousness when there's any trouble with it, of course. When there's coughing or shortness of breath or something happens. It's incredibly revealing because how the breath is the very clear indication of how a lot of the emotions are working, because the breath and the emotions work together. It's something that can be played with. One can play with the breath, how long or short it is. One can work with it. The 16 stages of Anapanasati, as described in the Anapanasati Sutta and the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, and in other places, are very complete. Any one of those 16 steps can be a starting point through all the others. So it's factorial 16 different ways of manipulating it or playing with it. Each breath is, you can play with it, but you can't really control it. You can't say, today I'll only have in-breaths, tomorrow I'll have the out-breaths. But you can work with it in different ways. It's, if one doesn't know something that is important, then one's liable to make mistakes. And many of the mistakes that we make, I feel, happen when we don't know whether the breath is coming in or going out. We don't know the breath. The breath is so revealing, and it is so important. So each breath, each moment actually is an opportunity for freedom from ignorance. And ignorance is, as we've heard other people say, it's not something you have, it's not a possession or something that's forced upon you. Ignorance is something that we do. We ignore, and it's a doing. It's a not knowing what we don't know. And that's an action. It's karma. It's not knowing what we don't know and acting on that and not knowing. The whole point of awakening is, the first thing is we know that we don't know. and that is the start of waking up. Knowing that we don't know. And that is the start, because not knowing that we don't know is real ignorance. And it's humbling when we recognize, I don't know. And it's something we do. It's an activity. So it's karma. Ignorance is karma. People ask what gets reborn. And what gets reborn is ignorance. It's that. So the breath is, knowing the breath is what the Buddha was practicing, as they say, at the time of awakening. Very, very powerful practice. I hope that helps enough.
Thank you, Lama. Kai's been waiting to ask a question. Can I invite Kai to please unmute himself?
Yes, thanks, Peter. And thanks, Ajahn, for your reflections and instruction. Very well becoming. Thank you. As to the question of waking up in the morning and going into what one encountered during the night in terms of dreams and so on, I found that very valuable, and I've been doing this for years. But I also find it useful to, before I go to sleep, to try and formulate how some thoughts and ideas that I can carry with me into sleep. And more often than not, I find in the morning that actually some of these ideas popped up in some dream or another, which makes some interesting thinking of how it all correlates.
Yes. And you're wondering how it all correlates. Is that the question?
No,
or is it just a statement?
then I think in the morning how it all correlates with my dreams and so on, and in what way my intentions were carried over into the dreams. I found that most interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's something that one can play with. It's it's not. I don't know the whole mechanism, and I don't have sort of dream therapy or dream analysis going on. But this is what you have found useful. I wasn't suggesting so much reflecting on your dreams as your first thought, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I was more suggesting that you can decide what your first automatic thought is when you wake up, which is slightly different. But may I be well, may others be well, may all beings be free from ignorance, whatever, and you can make it more or less complicated as you wish. Rather, so I don't know, but it might be helpful to look at your dreams to see it's like looking at to see what's stuck on the sole of your foot, what you've picked up as you've been walking around. So, or the sole of your shoe, and what you've been walking through, mud or sand or whatever. That's what I picked up. Maybe that's what the dreams are about.
Well, then I find that I practice Anapanasati most of the time, and Anapanasati I practice most of the time, and with a thought and background while I'm doing this. And more often than not, I also, it's via intuitive awareness that I get ideas and inspirations after I've done that.
If it leads to less suffering in your life and in the lives of others, fine. That's the test. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Lampa, there are two questions here that's in the chat box. May I read it out to you?
Yes.
Okay, the first one is from Zori. Zori's question is, how can we practice humor towards the practice as well as in life, so that it's not something that is heavy? You often say, don't take it too seriously, and I find that very inspiring. So Zori's question is, but where is the other side? How can I relax and trust that things are happening or will happen without so much control and discipline? So thank you, Ajahn, for your wisdom and comforting words.
how can I relax and trust that things are happening or that will happen without much self-control and discipline? Yeah, the not taking it personally, or just noticing that when we do smile at something, we're not adding to suffering. That's a helpful thing. How can I trust that things are going to be okay without planning? Yeah, plan by all means. I don't think you don't. Oh, control and discipline. And the discipline is helpful in one's life. To have a routine that actually does give some structure is helpful. To have plans are helpful, but to know that the plans are never what actually is going to happen. That the map is not the terrain. But it's still to have plans is okay. And part of it is to, I mean, we don't know that everything's going to be okay. We don't know when death will happen. And part of it is to, I think, just do the best one can, but actually know that we can't control. You know, we may put all the seat belts on, have everything all strapped in and all the things, everything all, but something could happen that we don't have any control over. All we can trust is that our intentions and our karma, which is all that we really own, is the best that we can do. And we've tried to do the best with our karma, not to make problems for ourselves or others now or in the future. So that if, you know, the story of the guy who went to the monk who went to the very far away place at the time of the Buddha, and the Buddha said, well, what would you say to them if they shouted at you? Well, I'd say to myself, well, at least they're not beating me with sticks. And then, well, what would you say if they were beating you with sticks? Well, at least they haven't stabbed me. And what would you say if they stabbed you and killed you? And they say, well, now I don't have to worry about this body anymore. So, you know, it's like he wasn't sure what's going to happen, but he was sure that he wasn't going to make a problem about it. So whatever does happen, if you think, well, I'm not going to make more of a problem about it, then you'll be confident that that's the habit that you make in your life. You don't keep making problems for yourself or others. You can't be confident about what turns out, but you can be confident that your response to it will be not to make more of a problem about it. Does that help, Zori? So, you know, it's like, this is what you can grow in confidence, that your karma and your response to it will be the best you possibly can, because that's what you've been practicing.
I hope that answers your question, Zori. Yes. She says yes, it does. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Zori says yes, it does. So the second question is from our friend Richmond in New Zealand, Nampa. Richmond says, good morning from New Zealand, Nampa Vajiro. Perhaps a question too early in the morning, perhaps a kind of paradox. Question,
Yeah.
how does the contemplation of the repulsiveness of food reconcile with the teaching that all phenomena are neither inherently attractive nor repulsive, but simply arise through dependent origination?
It's the whole reflection on the body or the food or whatever. It's giving freedom. The intention behind these reflections on the repulsiveness are to give freedom, actually. They're not to give aversion. If we notice all the aspects of something, we're not caught in seeing it in a particular way. Reflecting on the repulsiveness of food is not detracting from its deliciousness. It's actually giving a wider or a greater perspective on it. It's reflecting on the repulsiveness of the body. It's not saying the body isn't attractive. It's just noticing that there's, that when you peel away the skin, it doesn't look the same. When you're noticing when you're looking at somebody's teeth, you're looking at their skeleton. It's not, it's not, it's not, it's not, well, if they haven't got false teeth, it's, it's noticing more than you usually do. It's more sensitivity. It's not less sensitivity, and it's not to encourage aversion. Yeah. Does that help a bit, Richmond? Good to see you. It is early in the morning for you.
Yes,
Why didn't you wait for the YouTube?
Richmond says, thank you very much. Richmond's video is not on, I think. Oh, there, he just turned it on. Great. Yes, he's just said thank you. Great. Right, there's a second question here from Jeannie Lampa. Jeannie says, thank you for the possibilities of practice that you shared today. It seems directly relevant to my current aspiration, as to invite beneficial sankharas instead of just following usual habits. I've been inviting increased mindfulness and metta and gratitude as beneficial sankharas, which seems consistent with what you were describing. Are there other beneficial sankharas you may suggest to invite throughout the day? Thank you again for the reflections you've offered today.
Yeah, Jenny, the thing with it's building paramitas. It's each of the 10 paramis. Theravada has more paramitas than Tibetan. It's got Tibetan only has 6, whereas Theravada has 10. But if you develop one of them, the rest will develop. So it's the building of paramitas. Those are the skillful habits. So any reflection on those or any cultivation of those are different sort of areas that one can work with. Dana, sila, nekkhamma, panya, virya, kanti, metta, and then upekkha, whatever the 10 parameters are, which is always something that's a test for the speaker to try to get through all 10 of them without looking at the list. So those are the ones to work at. And there are many, many books on those, as you know. Ajahn Sucitto's and many other people have written books on the paramitas, but those are the ones that go against the kilesas. Yeah, which any reflection on the paramitas. Dana is always a good one. That's why there you are. Beta's so efficient. Dana, sila, nekkhamma, panya, virya, kanti, satya, adhitthana, metta, anupekkha. Thank you, Beta. Those are the ones to cultivate. They're very straightforward and useful. And dana is the one that I tend to, because I talk about with meditation practice as a gift of attention and a receiving of experience. Because the dana without is a letting go without expectations, and a receiving of experience is interesting because we tend to give meaning to what we experience. Yeah, we tend to place meaning on experience, and that meaning that we give to experience is something we actually put out onto it, and in this way we create our world. And we don't, and that when we put out onto the stories of what we experience, it often from ignorance, And so we don't know what we're doing. And so we create more problems because that's the nature of ignorance. Whereas the gift of attention in this moment receives without giving meaning. So each moment is fresh. Yeah? And then we see how we give meaning to this moment and what meaning we're giving. And the attention is then inwards, comes from a sense of inward knowing of what we're doing. And then we know how we create this world in each moment, create time and space. Because time and space is something that we create each moment. The sense of being here. Weird, isn't it? it's, and then based on habit. Yeah. Awakened doesn't create the sense of doesn't believe the sense of separation. It rests in the sense of, hey, this is how it is. What response in this moment will come from the knowing of this moment, the joy of this moment, how to relieve suffering now and in the future, and the complete acceptance of this moment, not dwelling in aversion. So the response comes from upekkha, mudita, karuna, metta. Does that help a bit, Jenny?
Jenny, I hope that helps.
Helps maybe somebody else, or maybe somebody's more confused by it. So I've done the best I can.
Luang Por, I'd like to throw another question. This 10 parameters and the 16 mental defilements.
You're going to put those up on the. There are more defilements than yeah.
So the question is, how does one practice such that we lessen these 16 defilements?
Metta. Metta is the first one. But that's why metta is so much stressed. Because there's no being in this whole vast, empty universe that deserves metta more than this one here, and for that finger snap. And most of the time, we don't dwell in metta for this being here. We are somehow dissatisfied and not particularly liking something about this sense of being here. Yeah, I'm not quite comfortable. I'm not sure that this is all right. It doesn't seem to. All of that is dwelling in aversion, isn't it? Isn't it? Oh, I shouldn't be dwelling in aversion. I should be accepting of all of this. It makes it more complicated. And it starts, and that's why I say, when you notice you're laughing at this sense, you're not taking it personally, and you're not making any more suffering. And that's helpful to know. Yeah, because at that moment you're completely accepting the ridiculousness of this whole business of believing in this sense of self, which you don't like. So, because you think it should be better, you think it should be practicing better, you think it should be enlightened. And then, and I should really know what I should be doing. And please, Ajahn Vajiro, please tell me what I should be doing. And then I don't know whether I really believe Ajahn Vajiro. I think I believe somebody. I prefer to believe somebody else. and you know, that whole business, you can see why metta is where a lot of it begins. But you know, people start from different places, and everybody's different, and everybody changes because that's the nature of it. You know, and this whole sense of I am somebody, I need to do something, and I'm not sure if it's the right thing or if I can do it, is a shorthand way that I use as an idea about personality belief, clinging to rites and rituals, and doubt. You know, vicikiccha, which are the first three fetters, and they're all to do with thinking, and they all arise at exactly the same time. So in different ways you get to it. So this question of, and then the putting it the other way is you're somebody, you need to do something. I'm not sure whether you're going to do it. So that creates a sense of it. So, and there isn't a way out of it in that sense, because you can't get out of it. I can't get out of that because that's the nature of it. So you can see where metta for a finger snap is so beneficial, because it's not dwelling in aversion to the way things are. This whole sense of the complicated business of this time and space that is being created through habit and ignorance. And it's not wrong. And you don't have to explain the whole business about why it happens this way. You don't have to explain the whole thing. You just have to build yourself a raft, paddle using your fans and feet, and get to the other side. And you've got the tools to do it. Practice the Eightfold Path. Turn the attention inwards.
There's a follow-up question from Richmond. What is the difference between the parami of dana, which is giving, and the parami of nekama, renunciation?
Renunciation is more like renouncing sensual pleasures. And as Ajahn Buddhadasa said, you develop any one of the paramitas and you develop all the rest. So they all can, you know, just one is enough. So you know, it's you can differentiate as much as you like, but nekama is more about not following the idea of just pleasuring the senses.
Very good. So we have time for one last question. If there's anyone who's got a burning question and would like it to be addressed today, feel free to.
Burning with the fire of greed, burning with the fire. Anybody got a cool question? Sorry.
Anyone?
Anybody got any question?
Question?
Happy to hear from you all.
Going once, twice, 3 times. Dong!
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. It's been fun. Sandy's there as well, also early in the morning.
Yes. I think it's nice to turn on your video so Long can see who is here. Oh, very good. Very good. Oh, we've got
Zori is turned on.
Yes.
She's in England.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. See? Long your fans.
Well, some of the people I know, some of the people I don't know.
Well, we also have got Amita here, and we also have Malika.
Yep.
Malika from Brisbane. It's very late
Yep.
for her, but she was here just now.
Yeah, and Carol also. Great.
Very good. So
Thank you.
we suppose that it's such a lovely session today, Lampho. I think like what you said, we must always reflect on it with gratitude on the blessings that we receive. Today we receive a lot of blessings from the words that you've given us and the thoughts that you leave with us. We'd like to invite you to lead us in the verses of sharing and aspiration, please, Lampho.
In Portuguese or in English?
Let's do it in English.
Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice and through this act of sharing, may all cravings and attachments quickly cease and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusions not take hold or weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled.
With a lot of gratitude, Longpo, for this beautiful session today. Would I like to take leave from you and allow us to please chant the Araham before we take leave from you. Araham Sama Sambuddho Bhagawa Buddha Bhagavanta Avihade. Bhagavato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammo Namassana Suparipano Bhagavato Samaka Sangho Sangam.
Thank you all. And if that was of some help, great. As I say, if it wasn't, just leave it behind. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just turn it off. Okay.
Longpo, we wish you and the Sangha at Sumedharama a very good Vassa, a healthy, strong, and supportive Vassa.
Well, thank you, Bita, for organizing these. It's a labor of love and an offering to us all, and for all beings. Much merit, as they say. Much blessings. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the meaning of the threefold bliss? It's in the chanting book. It is explained. Physical, spiritual, and liberation.
Thank you very much. Sadhu to everyone. Have a good weekend. See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.